And a lot of new faces, which is wonderful to see. Thank you all. There's agenda on the table along with a few other miscellaneous things, so feel free to grab something. All right, board is called to order at 7 o'clock. This is also a Zoom meeting. Please, keep your phones off. Don't make too much noise so that everybody can hear. At the end of the meeting, anybody who wants to speak may speak. Will come to the podium. 3 minutes only, if you please. Just state whatever you'd like. So I want to introduce the board. I'm Judy Glover. I'm the president. Next to me is Dan Evans, who is the vice president. Brian Vincent, who is the secretary. Danny Matthews, member at large, and Larry May, treasurer. I got him right this time. How about that? All right.
A year and a half.
I was gonna say it's about time, but I didn't want to say that.
I haven't been here a year and a half yet. All right, so I want to ratify approval of the minutes. Are there any changes to all the minutes that are listed on the agenda?
No.
No change.
All right, then the minutes are approved. So we're going to move on to the ratifications. There is one change to the ratifications, one addition that's not on your sheet. We will send out an updated agenda. When it gets to this point where I think there's only a few of them, so Brian can read them. He'll read the one that we're missing so that you know what it is. It's just a slip. All right,
Yeah,
Brian.
so the one that I'll be adding, I'll have Bert upload it tomorrow, or the next day online, so it'll be there, but I will be reading it tonight. Ratify approval of Dan Garrity to the Structures Committee. Ratify approval to accept the quote from Brushing Painting to paint the Water Park gazebo and Mallard Park gazebo in the amount of $5,500. Ratify approval of Jim Lunsford and Doug Kellerman to the Nominating Committee. Ratify approval to renew CDGL 1125 in the amount of $85,008 with First City at 5% for 9 months. Ratify approval to renew CDGL 1127 in the amount of $84,529.92 with Edward Jones at 5.2% for 9 months. And then the additional is ratify approval to accept the quote from Highland Paving in the amount of $568,048.75.
Okay, so the president's report for July 2024. Since our last meeting in May, the board has completed or worked on the following. With input from the committees, we completed and approved the budget for 2025. We appreciate the members who attended the budget meetings, asked questions, and made suggestions. We've also chosen to paint company to paint the water park and Mallard Pond gazebos. We've installed speed limit signs on Healing Water and Oyster Harbor Parkway. Installed additional beware of alligator signs at Heron and Osprey Ponds. Installed fishing hour signs at Heron, Osprey, and Eagle Ponds. Approved repairs to part of the walkway and gate at the water park. Began grading new surface material on the Osprey Pond trail. Formed a nominating committee. A call for candidates notice was sent by regular mail and e-blast. The letter went out Monday. Hopefully you've all received it. We began reviewing community access, and we ordered 2 pickleball nets that are now on back order. Also, many of the committees are still looking for volunteers to help keep Oyster Harbor well-maintained and beautiful. If you have any interest in joining any one of the committees, please fill out a form on the website and submit it. We'd love to have you. Our annual meeting will be on Saturday, September 14th at 1 o'clock and be at the Brunswick Electric Company building on Highway 17. I hope you all plan to attend. We'll be electing 2 new board members as Dan and I's term will be up. And as always, feel free to contact any of us and we'll do our best to assist you. Thank you. So we're going to move on to the treasurer's report. Larry?
Put out on the table the May treasurer's report, financials. I'll go over the balance sheet very quickly. The numbers is actually self-explanatory, so I'll just hit the totals. If you have a question or something as we go through this, please hang out. The total operating cash in the 31st of May will be $410,299.05. The ARC cash $248,061.27. So the total current asset as of May 31st is $658,360.32. The balance sheet reserve shows 1.551,360,006. Going down the expenses sheet, we see the category of maintenance, which are pools, clubhouse, landscaping, facilities. The points in this, rather than going through all the numbers, I think what I'll do is just point over to the budget on the right side. The numbers are pretty self-explanatory, and the numbers on the right side will tell us whether or not we're over or under budget for that particular time period. So for that particular category, we're $5,990 and some change over. That was due to expenditures for pine straw landscaping and some additional stuff for pond work and things. Before then, we were under budget for that particular category. The administrative category were 11,000. My font's so small on this, I can't read it. $11,823.60 were under budget for the administrative category. And on the operating side, we're $831.51 over budget. Total operating expenses, these categories, looking at them as far as the variance to date, May 31st, we're under budget by $5,001.30. On the reserve expenses, the expenses are listed there by month with a breakout and an explanation to the right side. The total reserve expenses to date are $60,884.41. This is just like the annual meeting when we did this past September. The delinquencies with liens filed to date are 1. We have had 3 in foreclosure. With the liens filed to date, that total for that 1 was $14,745 and change. In foreclosure, there's 3, $8,938.11. And total balance owed to us is $23,683.85. When I post this to the web to our website, and Bert posts it for me, this will be in combination with the balance summary sheets that will be attached to it. Right now, and you'll hear me talk a little bit about this when we have our new website coming online any day now, any week now, pretty soon. We're going to be combining the two. Now, when you go to our treasurer's financials website, you'll see the treasury report as a separate tab from the financials. Get this is what you see as the treasury report. Financials will be a separate summary sheet, and our new website will be all together. That way, you'll be able to scroll through them as one complete document. Question? Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to the committee reports, and we're going slightly out of order because Bob has asked to leave first. So let's have Bob Wilson with safety and preparedness, please. Yes, please.
Thank you. The safest where? So this. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4. I just had to say the correct words, didn't I? Okay, the Safety and Preparedness Committee, Ms. Leanna Winslow and myself, being co-chairs, have a report to give, and what we've been working on is a number of issues. Hurricane preparedness, of course, given the season we are in. For those of you who have followed the Sahara dust situation, and it is going now to stop in about 2 weeks. And the Sahara dust from the Sahara Desert in Africa is what's been inhibiting all of the tropical development. And so the Weather Bureau is expecting us to have a rapid increase somewhere between 3 and 4 weeks from now in terms of development. So we are working on that. We have the plans in place for the preparedness. We have a community town hall scheduled for the 7th of August at 7 p.m. And Mr. David McIntyre, who is the county emergency director, and Mr. David Ward, who is the assistant fire chief for Tri Beach, will be here. For those of you who attended last year, the format will be a little bit different. We're going to have a roundtable discussion with the two guests and several members of the committee, and we are going to concentrate on Oyster Harbor specifically. An example, we're not interested in all the things they do for flooding because this is not an issue for Oyster Harbor. But the isolation is an issue, and a number of other things to be identified are issues. And then the last hour or so, we are going to work with the group at large when our guests leave and talk about the specifics of what the committee has done, the specifics of what is going to happen in the event of a major hurricane, and what is expected, and ask for volunteers to work in various portions of the response set. So all of that is coming the 7th of August at 7 p.m. here in the clubhouse. The Community Watch Program is an ongoing policy. We now have a couple of potential more volunteers. We are still looking for volunteers for Community Watch. We can't have too many. And we have a number of incidents that have occurred in the last couple of weeks, some of which are disturbing and some of which are minor, but we need to have all of this reported to us so that they can be dealt with and the board can be kept apprised of what's going on. The post-disaster policy is under major revision, and that will be discussed on the town hall. And what happens when the hurricane is over, and everybody is isolated from everybody else, and what we need to be able to do for ourselves. We have also purchased some first aid kits, one major kit, which is capable of handling basically a small mass casualty event. And we are going to have 6 regional kits that are going to be around for the various areas in case there are injuries. And we are identifying people with medical skills and appropriate licensure and so on to deal with that. We have purchased a series of radios, and these will be in service when there is a disaster, so that even if the cell towers go out, then we will be able to communicate with the board, we'll be able to communicate with each other, and hopefully keep our act together anyway. The basic disaster EOC plan is well on its way, and that will be again discussed. So the town hall, there will be a community watch town hall later, but that has not, to my knowledge, been scheduled, has it? Not yet. Okay, didn't think so. But that still falls under safety and preparedness, but we are still putting that together. And depending upon the response we get, we are going to offer some first aid kits, or have them offer first aid classes, AED classes, CPR classes, and going to restart the Vial of Life program. If everybody know what that is? No, okay. The Vial of Life program is a sticker that goes on your door that says, my medical information is held in a particular place for EMS when they show up at your door. So they can go in, they know where there is a vial, typical just a prescription vial or whatever you want, and usually in the refrigerator. And it will have whatever information you wish to put in it, your doctor's name, any allergies, any specific medications you're on. It's totally up to you what you put in there that you want the EMS folks and the EMTs to have in case there's an emergency. And this is not only not disaster related. This is if you have a fall in your home, or you become ill, or under any normal circumstance that it doesn't require a disaster. So we will be offering those types of classes. Current budget issues, none. We are spending our money. Thank you. Appreciate it. And we have added Chad Andrews to our committee. Raise your hand, please. Okay. And I guess that's it. Any questions? Larry, anything you want to add?
No, very good.
Okay. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Okay, next, the ABC POA report. ABC POA, those of you who don't know, is Alliance of Brunswick County Property Owners Associations. We have approximately 32 now in the association. And as you heard me say before, they're a really important organization, help all of the HOAs, POAs figure out how to deal with different issues within the communities. And we also have a presence in Raleigh where they're keeping track of any bills that pertain to the HOAs. So right now, the ABC POA is working with the planning department in Brunswick County to address concerns about explosive growth in the county. Clear cutting and traffic impact statements not required and traffic impact statements that are not required until after a development is approved. It's kind of ass backwards. We're receiving and responding to member HOA POA requests for information and best practices. Activities, projects completed since last report to board. Created a questionnaire to be sent to county and general assembly candidates in the November election, and that will be posted. Activities, projects planned to start within the next 6 months. Review and monitor impact of development on fire ratings, i.e. the further a home is from a hydrant, the higher the insurance amount. And the number of fire stations now versus what is needed to provide adequate service as the county population kind of grows. There are no current operating budgets and no reserve budget issues. Thank you. So next we've got boats and docks. Oh, no, we have a ARC. I'm sorry, Les.
Trying to skip.
Yeah, I was gonna skip right over you. I don't want to do that.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Hello, Zoomers. I'd like just to say thank you to the safety committee, Bob and Leanne. She's here. She's not here. What they're doing is tremendous and very important to this community on awareness. I wanted to personally thank them. Just thought it was important. Thank you. So I represent the ARC. There are 3 members of the ARC: Don Pesterman, Mike George, and myself, Les Weintraub. And I'm going to give you a report and say a few things at closing regarding some changes that have taken place and the support the ARC has for those changes. So this is the first time, I think, in 2 years I've come before this group, and every time I give a report, I say there have been so many homes built, but just this week we had another 5. This is the first time. I'm not going to say that. So are things slowing up? I don't think so, but we presently have 43 homes under construction and various stages of construction. Simple, a permit, groundbreaking, final inspections going on, 43 homes. We just completed 4 final inspections, which means that we have 4 new residents in our community. And we have 206 at this time homes that are either occupied or under construction, the combination of 2. Right. Now, I remember when I moved in, when Debbie and I moved in 14 years ago, we were home 46 or 47. So this growth has been slow during that time, but in the last 2 or 3 years, it's been like very heavy duty. So the ARC, since May, has conducted what we call pre-construction lot walks. So when a builder comes in and they give us plans, we just don't say, go ahead. We meet with them, we go over the plans, and the next step is we have them outline where they're building on the lot. We designate which trees are okay and not okay to come down. We go over a compliance schedule and fine schedule for them. And we say, hey, listen, if you don't follow the rules that are set forth in the guidelines, there's penalties to pay, there are fine. And by doing this, we have really shored up that the builders are really more in compliance than ever before. I'm very happy to see that. one of the things that is new, and the ARC didn't have a chance to comment on it, is that the board and the ARC have been working very closely together. And there has been formed a new compliance committee. Maybe you've heard about it. I don't know. I'm assuming there'll be more discussion about that at some point. But we just wanted as an ARC to say, we supported the compliance committee in totality. I think it's really a good idea to do that. And so what happens now is that some of the things that were so accustomed to be ARC items, after a build has taken place, will go to a different group. Now, that group has nothing to do with the ARC. I want to make that clear. The ARC is still a 3-member group about construction. But I thought maybe sharing 1 or 2 or 3 examples of what the differences would be helpful. Okay. So when a build is in place, the ARC oversees that. When a build is done, normally in the past, somebody says, you know, I have a dead tree that needs to come down. Could you come over and tell us or send us a pic? Well, could you send us a picture? If you're not home, we could go look at it. You put a ribbon around it. That no longer will fall under the ARC as an example. That will go to the compliance committee. When a house is being built and somebody wants to put up a backyard fence, that is during the construction period. The ARC is responsible for that. A resident who's living here, let's say a year in, they say, you know what, I'd like to put a backyard fence in. Normally you would come to the ARC. No, you now go to the compliance committee. There's a list of things, right, Danny, that'll be posted or has been posted. Right. So, and there are different forms. Am I correct? Am I saying that? Right. So I thought by just saying that is maybe one way to keep in mind what is still the ARC and what is the compliance. Think of it this way. Anything during construction is the ARC. And that's because of what we call impervious value or impervious square footage. That means where, you know, a house sits, it takes up so many square feet, and we're allowed so many on each lot. So the ARC would still be responsible for, as an example, even though it's been built a home and somebody says, I want to put in a patio in the backyard. That still comes to the ARC because that would clearly be something to do with impervious value. That stage, you're covering up so many square feet. We need to check our records to make sure that you don't go over a certain amount. And we keep a file on that. So think about anything during the build period. It's always the ARC. Afterwards, it's the new compliance committee minus anything to do with impervious values. A simple thing, one more point, a simple thing is an air conditioner. Not an air conditioner, sorry, a generator. So when you get a generator, there's a pad that goes underneath it. It might be 9, 12, 15, 18 square feet. I don't know. That still comes to the ARC because it's impervious value. And we have a number of homes here, I will say, that are borderline, if you're allowed 6,500 square feet, that are 64, 95 or 64, 99. Several, very close. So that's why we need to make sure that we are clear about anything that is done that impacts impervious value. And I just want to, because of, again, this would go to the compliance committee, but we're getting into the political season here. And I always get phone calls, emails about signage, banners, flags. So I thought maybe it's a good time just to say we're only 100 and some odd days away from an election. And the guidelines, it doesn't matter if it was the ARC or the compliance committee. We follow North Carolina statute 41F-3-121. Now, what does that mean? It means, in essence, that no political signage could go up until 45 days before an election, 7 days after election. That's the window. It also includes how many signs you're allowed, 2. And the size of the sign, no bigger than 24 by 24 inches. That's just something for your edification and for all the people that are watching as well. It's just important to know that's what this community has followed for its life that it's been here. And I thank you. And I also want to thank the 2 of you. I know that you will be leaving I know that, and we'll have another chance, but this will be at least a chance at the last board meeting, other than the annual meetings, to say thank you for all your hard work, Judy and Dennis. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Boats and docks. Ah,
Can I say, I don't have my glass.
thank you, Bob.
All right. Current ongoing activities project status, expand boat storage area still in progress. No boats, RVs on the waiting list for spots in the boat storage lot. And actually, I've got a couple freed up inside that I may be moving a couple of those outside inside. We're going to continue to monitor the status of the boat ramp to make sure none of the cracks or anything get larger, make sure it stays safe. And we're going to continue to monitor the status of the boat storage area. And for those of you that have boats in there, I ask you, please take an extra few minutes and put those in there straight. Because if you start getting it crooked, the guy next to you is crooked and the guy next to him, and all of a sudden we lose a space. That just happened. So I got to contact them one at a time. First guy's got to make his right. Then you contact the second one. It just takes a lot of time. Activities projects completed since last report to board. Completed markings to the expanded area, power wash concrete portion of the boat ramp. Activities projects planned to start within the next 6 months. Still working on the boat storage expansion. We're looking at a fence and stuff for that. Adjust wording at the water park boat trailer parking area. Continue to monitor the status of boat ramp. Membership needed. Continue to monitor the status of the boat storage area. Current operating budget issues, none. Reserve budget issues. 2024 tasks and reserve budget. No membership changes. Asking for. Yeah, but we lost Bruce Baker.
Yeah, and that should have been on your executive. Okay. And we really need some help on boats and docks. We only have one member on boats and docks that doesn't work at all. We've got 2 members that work full-time.
And me part-time, so if anybody's interested in helping on boats and docks, we could really use you guys. Thanks.
I'll add a couple things. Just some community knowledge information. I don't know if you've heard about it or know about it, but there's been an alligator seen at the boat ramp and close proximity area. So that's an awareness thing. He's about 8 footer, so he's not a little fella. And just if you've got kids or grandchildren or anyone down there, it's just an awareness thing. There was a young lady that was down there with her feet dangling off the dock and fishing yesterday. And one of our neighbors said, I just want to make you aware, I don't want to scare you. And she stood up immediately, not put my feet back in the water again. So it's just community awareness. Alligators live here too. And we just want to make sure that everyone's talking about the fact that it's there. We had our ladder on the floating dock that disappeared. We don't know what happened, but for safety, if you were to fall off, it's only there for safety so that you can climb back up. So we're going to have to replace that. I just got that right before we walked in, but Bob, thank you. And yeah, by all means, this group does a yeoman's work and they could use help.
Okay. Dan, is there anything to report for the clubhouse committee?
No.
Okay. Communications. Bert, it would normally be Bert.
Bert is not here this evening, and I'll just let you know that HOA start is still underway. We got the Zoomies officers right over there that are helping us stand up that new website. The only update I can give you is our target is to have it online and switched over from our old new fingers crossed. Hopefully it'll be there by our annual meeting in September. And we're still trying to finish all the migration of things and trying to get everything up to speed as quickly as we can. And thank you, by the way.
Okay. Financial planning, Dave.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Shalero, Chairman of the Financial Planning Committee. Start off with some good news, which Larry, you didn't mention it in your treasurer's report.
What's that?
Our reserve balance.
Oh, I didn't.
We have achieved a new record high.
1.551. And this is May.
Yeah, I know, as of May, but it doesn't change that much.
$1.033, $1.5 million.
Let's. My apologies. But that's the good news, that, obviously, with what's going on this year in the community, with the roads and the drainage system and so forth, we're still gonna be, I think our projected planning calls for roughly 900,000 or so in expenditures this year to offset that balance. Which, is not necessarily bad news, because we're covering some of the major things that this community needs. And if you were to look at the reserve listing, major items usually are going out 5 or 6 more years. So there probably will be very little in terms of major expenditures going on. Unless something were to happen with a hurricane or something, but that's why we have insurance. So we'll be a little bit, at year end, we'll be down a little bit in our balance. But we will be quickly building that up with the annual contributions that are made from our dues. The committee will be, over the course of the rest of the year, looking at our projected expenditures and comparing to actual. Got some good news tonight, Danny, with the quote. That's 30,000 less. So that's got to be changed, and we will change that. And we will monitor all the categories of expense that we have over the course of the rest of the year. We're also looking at ways that we could possibly add to our revenue stream, but we're still in discussion about that. There's a lot of moving parts with that. But hopefully we can get something put together pretty soon. Also, we are currently looking at an individual who may be joining the committee. And I still need to touch base with her and give her a little bit more detail of what we do, but we expect that to be in place relatively soon. So, other than that, it's generally our busy time is like the first 3 months of the year. But this is still a busy time for us in terms of monitoring and making sure we've got the right balances and we can project forward what our needs will be. That's it. Thank you.
Grounds, is that for you?
It is now.
Okay.
I just got a text. Mike Weddle says, y'all pray for me. I think I got too hot today.
Uh-oh.
He had planned to be here, but he is, Mike is again, another individual that has dug right in and really been a huge asset to this community and taking care of the grounds. He meets, or a member of his committee meets with our landscape contractor every week. Every Wednesday, they have a scheduled meeting time. They go over any concerns. So if there is anything that you see, obviously we need the eyes and ears of our community to help. But he has done a really good job. We've had, as anything will, we've had some minor things and we are correcting. But overall, I would hope you feel that you're proud of what you have in the neighborhood. Irrigation is our biggest nightmare today. If you don't know his history, he was 37 years operating an irrigation specialty company. And so he has really gone online to help us get better with that. And overall is fatigue. We've got a 20-year-old system now that continues to give us a lot of gifts with a leak down there, but we're actually probably the most efficient with water usage right now that we've ever been, and he's got the system staged. And all of us that live down here know that we don't have the greatest water pressure in the world anyway. So we have to run these systems 24/7. So if you see one on in the middle of the day or in the middle of the night, you come in and you see a system on, it is by design. We have to take these zones and keep them going at different various times all through the night. So in order to water everything efficiently, that's what it takes to get it done. We actually bought Wi-Fi systems so they can be controlled and shut down. They all have rain sensors now. So if it is raining outside, they shut themselves down. I hope that we've gotten that part to the best efficiency we've had in a long time. He was telling me he got all the new timers in. It took forever for Rainbird to want to connect to our Wi-Fi. It wasn't our Wi-Fi's fault, but it took 3 specialists out here to finally get it connected, but they're all up and running. New rain sensors I mentioned. We have no activities currently and no operating budgets.
All right, thank you. Member welcome and orientation, Mary Ann.
Good evening, everyone. Judy George and myself have the great job of welcoming all the new homeowners that move into our wonderful community. And we do this 2 times a year. We have an event held in the spring and in the fall. Currently, we will start planning for our October meeting. And at that, as soon as we come up with our date, we will revise and get ready for this event in October. So also ongoing, we will review our meeting that was held in April, and it pretty much stays the same. The meetings really run themselves. So all we do is update, make sure that anything that has been changed, that we make sure that all our documents that we're giving to our new homeowners are current. The activities and projects completed since last report to the board. Well, since we hold 2 meetings 2 times a year, we've been on vacation. So we've had a summer break. Our activities and projects plan to start within the next 6 months. Once again, we will hold our October event, and we will update documents, anything that's on the website, and especially after the board elections. Our budget issues. We have currently, we're a low budget committee, and we don't have any problems. And committee purpose and membership changes, nothing there either. So that's it.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Martin Houghton.
The chairperson is Bill Justice. Current ongoing activities, project status. No current projects other than routine maintenance by Total Lake Care. Application of algae and dye throughout all the lakes and ponds are being conducted now when necessary. Activities, projects completed since the last report to the board. All ongoing projects have been completed. No new projects have been started since last board meeting. Activities, projects planned to start within the next 6 months. Recommend that landscape personnel do mowing, weed, and brush cutting around the perimeters of each lake as needed. We are addressing one pond that is we're having an issue with right now with trimming, and we're going to be there's going to be some activity, I think, next week to get that resolved. Continue the research of the electrical circuitry on the level controller at Cardinal Lake and determine if it is repairable. Same system is operating at Mallard Lake and is performing trouble-free for the past several years. We've had that thing in for probably 7-8 years on Mallard. And it works fine. They're having issues at Cardinal, and I guess there's an electrical circuitry problem there, trying to identify what it is. Continue the review of the access to the Russell Hewitt Lake outflow weir to determine how to improve safety. It's pretty treacherous walking down to the Weir Gate from the road. We really need to, somebody's gonna break a leg there eventually. It's been like that unfortunately, for 15 years I've been here. We haven't changed, but it needs to get fixed so people can walk down there safely. Budget issues, current operating budget issues, none. Reserve budget issues, none.
Thank you, Dan. Social Committee, Mary Ann, please.
Representing Carla and the Social Committee. The current ongoing activities and project status. The committee meets once per month, usually the second Tuesday. Our new events that really does sound awesome coming up is Awesome August. We will have a food truck from Sharky Seafood and live music called Different Directions. It'll be at the water park starting at 6 p.m. And activities, projects completed since last report to the board. The annual, the July 4th celebration. 81 paid attendees for the Butcher of Brunswick barbecue. The social committee provided water, tea, lemonade, and sweet treats for dessert. There were estimated about 100 attending the free concert at the water park during sweet tea featuring. So we served sweet tea and we're featuring sweet tea and local fireworks, which was a blast. They were gorgeous this year. Very successful, smoothly run, thanks to a great job done by the social committee and member volunteers. The kids, this is something new, kids pool party and ice cream social took place on June 15th with 17 kids participating. Lorraine Nicholas took charge, is that Nichols or? She took charge of organizing and leading the games, which included scavenging for toys, relay races, water volleyball, and basketball. The committee members helped supervise and looked after the kids and also handed out ice cream treats. And it's noted that we hope this will be another annual event. Memorial Day barbecue, attended by more than 100 adults and 11 kids, which was less than the number who signed up to attend. Hank Gallagher and Dave Sharetto were their grill masters of the hot dogs and hamburgers. Where's Dave? Nice job, Dave. Members brought side dishes to share, and the social committee provided beverages, non-alcoholic, and desserts. Games such as cornhole and ladder golf were on hand. Activities and projects planned to start within the next 6 months. Upcoming events include end of season celebration with Smithfield Chicken and Barbecue at the clubhouse, followed by music at the water park with Kelvin Andrews. A Halloween party and trunkathon is scheduled on Saturday, October 26th, and Harvest Soup Day and Trivia Night on November 16th. Stay tuned and watch the event calendar for more information. She has budget news. Okay, budget issues. Current operating budget issues. There are none, but the cash on hand is $365.65. As of May 30th, 2024, budget remaining is $1,988.43. There are reserve budget issues, none. Committee purpose membership changes, none. And that's it.
Thank you, Mary Ann. So just John.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, we have I do see some new faces. So my name's John Champlin. I've been a resident of Oyster Harbor for 16 years. And as sort of the reference here, I spent part of the year away. My girlfriend has a place in Florida, and she insists on us going there for part of the year here. So we're sort of back and forth, but this year we got quiet. It's a struggle. It's a struggle for me. I'm a member of the Structures Committee. We have 7 members currently, and commenting what Judy Glover said before, we can always use more members. People that are on committee now are a variety of skills, from
electrical to construction. My contribution is that I still have a strong back. I take good minutes and I take direction real well. Basically, structures is responsible for the structures within Oyster Harbor. There are some exceptions, like the water park, where the boat ramp and things like that are boats and docks, but we monitor the condition of the various structures, street signs, street lights, buildings, and see if there are things that need to be done repair-wise or improve. If we can do them within our committee, we take that as our task. If we can't, we make a recommendation to the board and help them with getting outside quotes from vendors. So some of the things are pretty simple, like putting out and taking in the clubhouse garbage cans. We monitor the street lights to make sure they're all working properly. And if any of you see a street light that's out of the neighborhood, let me know, because that's a survey that Mary Ann's husband, John, and I do at least twice a year. So we want to make sure we keep all the street lights functioning properly. Some of the things we've done since the last board meeting, we solicited and received quotes to paint the water park and Mallard gazebos. We recommended a vendor to the board. The board has approved that. I think we're very close, maybe even tomorrow, to having those two structures painted. We solicited and received quotes for new pickleball nets. We have a lot of pickleball players in the community. And we recommended a vendor to the board. Those, as you may have heard before, the nets are on order. So they'll be coming in pretty soon. We have solicited quotes to seal and stripe the parking lot. The board wanted us to concentrate on the section from the pickleball courts down to the boat storage. We want to take a look at everything. We made a recommendation to the board not to short sight the area near the clubhouse, which gets the most traffic. So we've gone out, tried to get quotes. It's been a bit of a hassle, to be honest with you. We have a number of people never call us back. Some express an interest at first and then don't follow up. We've had one official quote. New Hanover came in last week. We should be getting a quote from them. So hopefully we have a second quote for the board to consider. I'm not sure if we'll ever get a third, but we'll keep trying. And also I mentioned electrical skills. We have an individual who repaired and replaced the entrance wall LED lights that were damaged from a lightning strike. So again, that's pretty much it. I say we could always use new members. It's an interesting task. Dick Reel has been a member of the committee for many years before and did a lot of things for us. So new skills are always of interest. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. All right. So the nominating committee had its first meeting. We're a small group, but we're a mighty group. I want to thank Doug Kellerman, Jim Lunsford, and my co-chair, Judy Glover. We met a couple of weeks ago, and again, hopefully, Judy mentioned at the beginning, everyone has received their actual paper ballot or nomination forms in the mail. If you haven't, they're on the website as well. The entire call for candidates is online as well. So we met several weeks ago and kind of came up with a timeline as far as how deadlines for when things will be sent out. The Meet the Candidates night will be August the 19th at 7 o'clock. That is one date that we confirmed. So just be on the lookout. We'll have several e-blasts coming out in the next couple of weeks about questions for the candidates. And also, once we have the actual candidates, we'll send that out as well with their bio information. So just be on the lookout for that. And as far as that goes, we have a couple more meetings set up in the next few weeks.
Thank you. One more, post-construction and compliance committee. There we go. That would be Jude.
Good evening. My name is Jude Hergis, and I'm on the Compliance Committee. And the other two members are Jack and Glenn. You want to stand up? Go ahead. Now, has been the common theme this evening, people continue to say we're looking for additional members on the committee. So it won't be surprised to you when I say that we could have 5 positions. We've got 3. And if you look at the 3 of us, Bulb has not been represented yet on that committee, so we're looking. Anybody who can't grow hair to come in and well, the 3 of us will make them feel very comfortable. So we first started on this back in May, and just kind of an idea of how we go about stuff and how we work, the 3 of us. The first time we met, Danny gave us a template or a proposed form for applying for a project. And the 3 of us met, I think 7 times. And after meeting 2 or 3 times, we'd bring it back to Danny and we'd show it to him, and he'd kind of, well, what about this and what about that? And then we'd go back, the 3 of us, and we'd hash it over 2 or 3 more times, and then we'd give it back to Danny, and he'd say, what about this and what about that? And on the 7th meeting, we concluded that we would give him back the form he gave us. And it was approved. So the 3 of us said, we're really bright. Why didn't we do that the first time? No. Anyway, we've just started, and I'm a retired federal employee. So the very first thing I did as chairman was I took the first week off. The second week, I'm cleaning house for the 3rd week when the kids and grandkids are here. But we've had 3 requests so far, and they're all dealing with tree removal. So maybe we misnamed our committee that it ought to be tree removal committee. You know, and it's kind of a dead subject, drop dead subject, right? But anyway, just kind of want to share with you briefly, the 3 of our philosophy is that we are committed to trying to help this be as nice a community as possible. And just the consistency of this. None of us, I have a mindset of going out and trying to be mean to anybody or an obstructionist or anything like that. It's just to provide some continuity and to provide some feedback on what the rules and regulations are, and hopefully as harmoniously as possible. And if there's any, and the 3 of us have concluded that if anyone disagrees with what we think, go to Danny, he'll correct us. Just like he did with the forum. He learned, and that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
I'll add a thing too. These guys have done a lot of work, and they are, the pay is not excellent yet. We're working on that 50% raise. But the eyes and ears of the community, they are your eyes and ears, and you are theirs. So it's not for them to do alone. There is no way that we can catch everything. The art can't do it. This committee can't do it. So it takes community participation. Just please remember that. See something that you think's a question, just call them. That's what they're there for. Call me. But just knowing it is up and going. The new forms are coming. Everything's there, and it is a work in progress, and it will develop as it moves forward.
And I mentioned that the forms are coming.
Yes, after the 7th meeting.
All right, thank you again. Moving on to unfinished business. Update on painting of Mallard and Water Park gazebos. We've talked about it a lot, but
Yeah, so
anything else to say?
just to piggyback on what John said, the tentative date to start is tomorrow, so I'm not sure how long that process will take him to do, but both Mallard and the water park will both be pressure washed. Some of the minor cracks will be filled in, and then it will be painted.
All right, thank you, Brent. Update on the road paving project.
And you heard quite a bit of conversation early on about that. We did select a contractor. We came considerably under budget and the amount that we were looking for. We know we had $150,000 savings versus last year for the same scope of work. And it was just quite amazing, Dave. You looked at me and said it came under, we were shocked.
Yeah.
But this is a very efficient and noteworthy contractor. They do tremendous work for the DOT. So we're very grateful to have them. Right now, schedule is October, late September, early October. We're trying to get through the heat so that we can all have more patience to the understanding of the road directions and all the things that are going to happen. But right now, they're elated about the start time, and that's given us an opportunity to give them room to come in and plan, and at the same time, give you enough notice that it's coming.
Okay. And again, back to Danny, update on the stormwater drainage project.
We are 80% complete. I know you've seen a lot of work going on. The heat has held them back, and I'm just going to be very candid. Our expectations were that we were going to be finished by June. That was the original goal, and it was for our contractor. They have the same problem today that most other corporations are having. It's called people. People showing up for work, people being responsible for work, having enough people to do the jobs that are out there. And they've just been very upfront with us and honest with us about, we know we're taking a little longer than we expected, but they are promising us they're going to be finished in August. That's what they're saying. Stay tuned. But I have made them very aware under every circumstance of what's going on. They have to be completed at least minimum of 30 days before the paving project begins. So just so you're aware.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moving on to the 2025 budget. Larry, you want to speak to that?
Yes, ma'am. The 2025 budget, you've heard us talk about it. We voted on tonight for the ratification. So the board has approved the 2025 budget. Before I go into a few of the numbers, I want to touch on, just because we've got some new people here, the process that we use to go through this. We started this process, the board did at the beginning of May, and we talked about this in our May open meeting. The board met multiple times, took our 24 budget as it was, put a column off to the side, and we did a contract by contract, expenditure by expenditure projected to be for the year 2025, additional columns side by side. And we went through every one of them painfully over a couple, 3 meetings and things, line by line, like I said. We also looked at everything else that we projected to be an expenditure in the same manner. And it's going to be pretty consistent to what you see in the budget that's already on for 2024, that's already on the website. Having said that, once we were done with this, we met with Dave and the FPC and said, okay, let's get together and let's review all of the reserve items. And we went line by line, expenditure by expenditure, ranking by ranking, painfully over more than a couple of meetings through that process. And he's shaking his head over there for that. And from that, we populated our draft documents, said, here we go. Follow on at the end of May, we got together, or toward the end of May, we got together with all of the committees. Now, the committees either have budget lines or they're funded from the reserve funding, because there are amenities, predominant number of them, et cetera. So we went with the committee chairs and went line by line, expenditure by expenditure, what the needs were, where the wants were, populated our draft document, and we said, thank you very much, we appreciate that. So we're scrubbing everything. This is through the entire month of May. On the 12th of June, we had our first open association meeting where we took that draft document, brought it in. People had a chance to come in, and we went line by line, just like we did with the others, and looked at everyone, explained it as best we could, answered questions. And we repeated that on the 22nd of June, on a Saturday, where we met, again, went over all this. After we had all this process done, we took this draft document, gave it to the Waccamaw numbers crunchers and things. They populated the budget. The 25 budget came out from that. We saw that just a couple of weeks ago. We beat it up last week and said, yes, this is going to be our final project. As we went through this process, the two most important numbers that were holdouts, so we've actually gone through this entire process to see what the numbers were actually going to allow us to do, or what we had to do, was what our annual dues or assessments going to be for 2025. That's what most people are interested in, and what impact is that going to have on the reserve study, or on the reserves itself. As we went through this, you've heard it before, it's what we already know. We've had two major critical infrastructure projects this year, $600,000 for paving, $90,000 for the others, and a big expenditure, which took that $1.5+ million and dropped it down pretty significantly. But that said, we wrestled with all this stuff and our numbers came back. We are going to increase the annual assessments for 2025 by that dreaded 10%, which is $157.60 per lot. And that's reflected in the 2025 budget. But what that gives us is a 17% increase in our ability to add to last year's funding going into the reserve. So we had a 10% increase in our annual dues, and I hate that because I've got more than one lot in here too, as much as everybody else. But at the same time too, our distribution to backfill those projects that we have this year is going to add an additional $56,000 on top of our distribution. So that's going to go straight into the reserve from this stuff. So the 17% increase is a good thing. Last year, I'll call your attention to this. Our assessments last year were held at 5% because we went through our contracts. We had no major expenditures, significant ones, and we were able to hold that based on what our budget will allow us to do. This year, just sadly, we needed to put some more money. Last year, we increased our amount going to the reserve significantly. I think it was 25%, something like that, right, Dave?
Yes.
This year, this year, 17%, not as much, but at the same time, that's the best we could do with our numbers. And trust me, this was a arduous process of love, but unfortunately, this is kind of what we have. You will see this sheet again. It's in our annual budget. It will be coming out as part of our annual meeting notice packet. That packet obviously is the notice of the annual meeting for September that's been talked about. It will be included with the agenda. It will be included with the candidates who are being nominated for the board positions. And we're asking that the membership, as they look at that, they'll make their votes for the candidates. At the same time, too, they'll also be asked on that package to ratify the budget that you hear me talking about that. So the 2025 budget is done. It's up to now the general membership for all of us to review it, and hopefully we'll ratify.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
Do I
Larry.
need to add anything?
Nope, that was excellent.
Thank you.
On to new business. Fishing hours update. Dan, you want to handle that one?
I do.
Thank you.
I want to explain it as we go in. The board heard a lot of professional opinions from the fishing side, and I mean professional fishermen coming in and made us very aware that some of the best fishing hours that are offered to teach kids is in the morning when it's not so hot, and in the later evenings when it's not so hot. By the time the sun's up 9 o'clock or anything midday, significantly impacts the fact of what they could teach. Plus the fact that, let's face it, all of us that would like to teach kids and grandchildren and whoever, we're not favorite of the heat either. So with that in mind, we considered that there should be zero impact on any of the residents to do this. So the new published hours will be from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. That is effective today. All the signage has been posted. Everything's up. The fishing regulated areas are all up. And we're excited that we can still offer the opportunity for the kids and adults to interact. And I want to bring something else to this community. One thing the fishing has taught us over the last couple of months is we've had these fishing families come to us and say, have you taken a look at the fish in the pond? Have you looked at the health of the fish in the pond? And all of us would say, well, no, we haven't. But what we have learned is that we have a significant turn down in the population and the healthiness of the fish in the pond. And it's because they just flat don't have enough to eat. They don't have cover. There's just so many things that we have learned about the condition of our pond. And a lot of the community members are stepping up and they're wanting to restock the ponds with healthy fish from wildlife. And so I just want you to be aware that we're not only just looking at fishing for entertainment, we're looking at the healthiness of the population of the fish and the wildlife for our community, period. And so we're looking to see this get better. We are inquiring about actually finding fish to restock most of our ponds with. And now it's on a personal level. There are individuals that are offering to pay to do this, but everyone is welcome because the ponds belong to all of us. Okay.
Mhm, thank you. Brian, do you have anything else to mention about the for candidates?
Just, the deadline for the candidates, is next Monday. I don't know, I only know of one person so far, just because they actually copied me. All of that goes to Kimberly, at Waccamaw, so if you are interested, if you know anyone who is interested, please make sure, that they get that, they get their nomination in. We have 2 positions this year, and we would like as many participants as possible, I think. Obviously, best case scenario, the more candidates we have, the better.
But Brian, the issue that we have is we got that letter yesterday. We only have 5 days to do it. That's not enough time.
And I understand. Okay, well, I understand. We did send out an e-blast on Monday to the community that explained that as well, that all the forms have been up there since Monday, but
Yeah, that's a valid point, Bob, and we should look into that next year to change the timing because we do have extra days we can play with. So
But if we
absolutely.
only have one candidate so far.
well, no. I'm not saying that.
We have
I've
one
only
nominee, we
seen
don't have a
one
candidate yet.
personally. They all don't come to me. They should all be going to Kimberly as well. I just happen to have been copied on that particular one.
Can
We have-
extend it?
I'm sorry?
Can we extend that? So, maybe some of us can get together and come up with some candidates and.
Give us a chance to look at the calendar and we'll set something, or we'll get with you and send something out. We'll see. I think we have some days we can play with.
Yeah, we have some days.
Yes.
Yes,
We do. We have some
days.
time. We do have some
days.
days to play with. We just need to look at the calendar and make sure we got all our ducks in a row. Absolutely. Osprey Pond Access Trail.
If
Thank you
you,
again.
if you've gone down Heron Lake Drive recently and looked at the Osprey Pond access, you saw a lot of what you probably thought was dirt or whatever piles sitting in the middle of the trail. It is on purpose. As we had talked about originally, this is a trial application for us as well. The material was brought in a little over a week ago. There are 2 loads. And as Tuesday, I was in there, I took this one on as my challenge to try to save some backs and shovels and rakes. And I brought my tractor over and I'm putting the material down on the trail. It looks and appears that the 2 loads are going to be more than adequate to do the work. And I hope before you see the middle of next week that I've finished that project. That is my goal. But if I had not run out of fuel, I think I would have finished it anyway. But we had to go back home for more fuel. But the reason this is important, it really truly is a special material. It is a marl base material, which is limestone. And what will happen with this, we did it to protect 2 things. I have it in my driveway, but it's for construction or vehicle traffic. This is for considered foot traffic. So we chose a specially graded material that will be easy to walk on, even barefooted, if someone were to choose to do so. It doesn't have any large aggregate in it at all. But once it gets in place and it rains, it will be as solid as this tabletop and it will not push out. It will not be moving out like traditional gravel does in a driveway. And our goal is to hope that if this works well in these trails, then maybe the other trails will be done the same way and give us something that's close to the concrete trails that we have, which are awesome. But we're trying to do it and keep the cost of everything down. So just stay tuned to it and go by and look at it and tell us all what you think.
All right, thank you. All right, next we had call for volunteers for committees. I think we've beaten that to death, so you all know we're looking for people.
Need you.
So please go for it if you want to. And last, community access. And Larry, that would be you. Please.
Where do you start?
Where do I start? One of the biggest problems I think facing our community today is accessibility or access to our community. If I were to go around the room and ask everybody in here to give me 1 or 2 examples of where we've seen problems with access, people who are not supposed to be in here getting in here, we'd probably give me back a half a dozen or dozen answers. And if I said, what do you think about fixes? We'd be here all night and I'd be asking for breakfast to be served. That said, we know that this is a problem, and I'm going to give you a few examples of what I'm talking about, but we're not going to do that. The board is taking this on as an issue because we're very concerned about this. And this is not just access into our community in general through the gates. This is access to our amenities. It's access to places where people, only members or people who are supposed to be in here, from our own vendors and contractors to builders, to their contractors, to FedEx drivers, UPS drivers, school buses, inspectors from the county pick somebody. The people that are supposed to be in here should be getting in here and others should not. I'll give you some of the examples and that we've been running through, but let me go back and one thing to say. The board's taking this on as an issue. There are going to be 3 of us that we've set up a little working group, at least for now. I'll be on that working group, and we have 2 volunteers. Chad Andrews over there, he's got his computer up because I'm going to ask him later on if you'd like to go by and look at a couple of examples he's going to show you of what we've discovered so far at Jim Lunsford. This is a 3-person working group right now that's trying to define and try to identify what the full scope of the problem is. And believe me, it is large. It's been years to get to this point. There's not been a lot of love to a lot of the stuff going on. And when I say access, it's everything from the administrative part, which is the database, which is what Chad is working on back there now. And it's also the physical structures. It's our gates. It's accesses to the up the sidewalk over here, people walking across the berms. It is a list of other examples that I'll talk about in just a minute, but it is the entire package. This is going to take us a little bit. We've been working on this now about 3 weeks or so, just actually focusing on the database itself. And I'll give you a little bit of information and ask Chad to speak to it a little bit as well. But having said that, the problems we're looking at are what everybody knows to be true. It's piggybacking through the gates. It's sitting out there and waiting for somebody to come out the exit gate so they can go in that gate. It's people coming up the sidewalk from the neighborhood surrounding here on the golf carts, and it's everybody from adults to kids. It's people from neighborhoods and how they get in. Either come in that way, like some of the descriptors I've taught. They'll come in with spot cards. They'll come in with keys. They'll come in with key fobs. They'll come in with the tag readers, but they'll come through that way. That's a little bit more of a controlled environment. What I'm describing about are the devices. And as we've discovered, and what we started with is looking at the administrative side, which is the one database that's maintained by Carolina Times. And there was a previous database for that. It was a King Gates system.
I think that's right.
I'm sorry? Dorking, yes, thank you. We've started to try to understand what this problem is in looking at the technology side of the database. That was our beginning point for that. And what we've discovered is basically a lot of problems. But tonight, I want to just touch on a few things. Tonight is the first introduction to say that we're working on this. We're trying to understand that scope. There will be things coming over the next 30, 60, 90 days that we'll be getting back to you on once we fully understand the problems associated with this. We'll be identifying fixes, potential fixes, and things that we can address in the short term, the next 90 days or this calendar year. And because we're talking about physical structures, potentially from gates, kiosks, how they function, speeds and times, where do we need more gates, where do we need physical things, that can be something that we're going to look at from 25 and beyond. So there's the administrative side and there's the physical side. All this stuff is going to be part of this overall concept. Tonight is the first meeting. We're going to have additional ones. We're going to address this through open association meetings. And we're going to address this through town halls, because once we understand what the problems are and we start coming up with potential fixes to this, obviously the board's going to give us approval to move forward to where we think the best options are. We're going to have town halls where we have people come in and start introducing this, telling everybody where we're at, and we're going to involve you all in the process. So we're already beginning to look at, and I'd like to ask the board for consideration that we would like to have a first town hall on this latter part of August, sometime in August, if we can come up with a date, to let you know what we've discovered so far. Let me emphasize this to all the folks on Zoom, and as you go out into the community, as we go through trying to fix problems with databases. And by the way, did you know we've got the devices, tag readers, spot cards, key fobs, not counting keys, not counting codes. We have over 1,700 devices that are out into the world. We've got devices that extend, that go back to probably when we first started having these things. We've got folks who are no longer members here, who no longer live here. We don't know where they've gone. And that database back there is the magic holder of all this information. It is just mind-boggling. Codes are an entirely different situation. So before we start doing anything, we need to understand the problems. We need to come up with potential fixes for all this. And then we need to come back to you to let you all be involved in those things. And then we're not going to do anything without your all's involvement and awareness of it. When I say you all, it's users, property owners, it's builders, it's the people who should have access in here. They're also involved in all this. It's just not just one group. By the way, this database says how many? 15 groups of people? Yes. These 15 groups are everything from people to, well, I'll talk to Chad later, but you look at this and then there are different people populated in different places on this database. Some people have complete listings of all of the contact information associated with cards, swap cards, key fobs, tag readers. Others, you'll have a name and have a listing of several things they have, no other information. We don't know who they are, how they got them, where they're at, all this kind of stuff. So this is a big problem. We're not going to turn anything off, disable anything, do anything until we come up with solution sets for all this stuff. We'll do it in a phased approach to this. Everybody will be aware of it, be part of the solutions. But we've got to start eating this elephant. And we started a couple of weeks ago. Tonight, we're introducing that to you. Again, administrative, physical, be thinking about that, short-term, long-term. Town hall in August. We're looking to get some things accomplished before this calendar year, because we've got to get a handle on it. Did I talk about the amenities? We've got folks using our pools, our pickleball courts, our water parks. They have all these cards and things. They're not theirs. Got people using our stuff that are not members here, and they bring their friends in to use them with no Oyster Harbor folks here. So it's open season on all of our amenities and our boat ramps and these things too. So,
and it's not that we don't want people as your guests.
oh,
But every amenity in here is an expense to every member. And so when it's used by people that don't fund it, it's being abused instead of used.
folks are leaving because they don't want to participate in those amenities because it's being overrun by people who are not supposed to be in there in the first place. This past a month ago, two more examples, and I'll ask Chad to comment. A month ago, we had an incident with the gate being open because of a lightning strike. Well, we got a call to say that somebody's in here going door-to-door selling. Well, this is the same company that was in here 2 years ago, selling a contract for pest control on the Segway, going door to door, house to house, to say, hey, we've got a contract in here. We want you to take our product. Well, Chad and I catch up with them, and they go through the process to tell us, well, the gate was open. Well, it was open, but they also passed by that no trespassing sign, no solicitation to get in here. Oh, we've got clients in here. You're not at your client's house, you're going door to door, you can't do that. I remember this company because I interfaced with them 2 years ago. So I call the sheriff's office. I won't let them leave. The sheriff comes, we give him a no trespass order. The sheriff tells him, I can't arrest truck company, but I can arrest you or your representative when you come back out here. It's come to that because we've become open to the world who want to come in to have access our community, and they're not supposed to be. And by the way, 2 years ago, the gates were working fine. They came in the sidewalk. One thing this past week, that Chad had interfaced with, two vehicles were sitting down and parked in the swale next to the kayak launch. Two vehicles, each one had two kayaks on it, and the two folks using the kayak launch just happened to come up while he's down there trying to figure out, because he doesn't recognize the vehicles, and there's no way to distinguish them as an owner or not, if you're supposed to be in here or not. And he asked about them, and the answer, I think, Chad, was, a board, was it a builder that said it was okay for me to be in here?
Builder access.
So just come on in and use our kayak launch. Had nothing other than a builder that said it was okay to use our stuff. So that's sort of the scope of what we're trying to deal with. And it's just like, I just looked at this, these two guys are the technical experts on this database. And then looking at that, I looked at my own, by the way. So Chad, Jim, you want to add something just real quick?
I'll be more than happy, if anybody's running it tonight, and we'll have to give you some examples to show you exactly what our database
sure you
looks
wanna
like
do
right
that
now. So you can actually
You sure you
see
wanna do that
exactly what
tonight?
we're seeing as far as the members who are here, who has access.
Okay.
What names are not listed, we have no idea, no residence, locations or anything. But if you want to say after the meeting, I'm more
Well,
happy to
yeah,
show you
because
live
he's
examples.
just said anybody can come look at what he's doing. I don't know if it's
access to
Yes,
a month after I had gone off the board.
probably yes.
And you're saying, anybody who wants to see it, let us show you.
No.
I just really need to just take a breath here because I'm baffled.
No. What we're saying is the database has to be scrubbed and looked at, and we're gonna go person, user by user to this. And what we're showing you tonight, we're not gonna get into any of this stuff tonight. We're gonna show you our example of us or me or you or whatever you wanna see. an example.
We're not sharing any confidential
There's
information or
not.
anything anybody else, Joanne, but you should be more gasped about the fact of what's happened to security of this community. Be more aghast about what's happened to this security of community, because it's horrible.
It was a fine to wheel. Jen, was it not? It was.
And I don't deny that, but it's not now.
It sure is.
A board, several that are sitting on it now,
Mhm.
bans me and Jen from continuing on
Okay.
that. So, you know what, our system is not being used to its capacity whatsoever. And the system isn't what's causing people to come in. The codes are a disaster.
So all of this, there's root problems to every one of these things. It's not a specific thing that I spoke to. These are merely examples. The root problems are the database has to be made accurate. It has to be, those things that are not accurate needs to be deleted. And or we need to come up with all these fixes to root problem. The introduction tonight was to say, yes, we know there's a problem because the complaints we've been getting for people accessing our community, accessing our amenities have not stopped. And they're really coming on. We want to fix it. We want to fix it the best we can. But more importantly, we want to plan for the future so that this thing is, so that any data and any access we have in this community is monitored and it's going to be good. This is not going to be phase dependent. This is going to be long term. That's what we're trying to do. That's why I'm saying this stuff is going to be a big project. It's going to take us a time. Bear with us, but we will get with you and let you know.
But we feel your frustrations.
Oh, sure.
I promise you, we feel your frustrations.
After I looked at mine, it was unbelievable.
So
I want to tie in a little community announcement with this, and all of you have been aware, and you've seen the e-blast, and you've watched the gate, and you sit there and say, well, here's our front gate standing wide open. Well, the reason our front gate's wide open, we had a brand new kiosk installed 2 weeks ago, factory defective. They don't keep them in stock. We had to order them from LiftMaster. I had one of two choices. Either we open the gates and let people go in, or no contractors, no builders, no anyone that needed a code or to dial in could not have access to the community. So with nobody out front, nobody to stand there and open and close the gates during the days, you could get in with your fob, you could get in with your card, you could get in with your tag reader. All those things were still working, but the screen was half blank. So anyone that came up as a contractor or any builder or anybody doing work for you at home could not reach you. So the board made a decision to open the gates, and that's why they've been open. I got an update today just saying it's supposed to be here tomorrow. We're hoping. So even with our best efforts, it still takes the involvement of the community because the systems do fail.
Larry, can we not do that this evening?
Yeah, I think we should wait.
Okay.
All right, so Chad,
This is gonna be after, if anybody has questions.
I would rather,
Okay.
I don't think it's the time, so. We're not gonna do that tonight, Chad, so we'll do it in time, okay. All right, it's time for questions for anybody. 3 minutes, please. Anybody's welcome to come and ask a question. We'll do our best to answer it. Are there any questions?
Good evening.
Oh, this is dandy. There's
Can I,
no
can I
questions?
bring up a point because Dick asked me about it and I want to make sure the community knows about it. as well.
Okay,
7 years ago,
2014.
2014,
10 years ago.
so even longer. The community made a decision to put in a surge protector system to avoid, mediate, if that's a word, lightning strikes. We had a horrendous lightning strike here about 3 to 4 weeks ago, to the point that it knocked out a 40 amp service on my dock, and I've never seen that in my lifetime for anything to be that bad. We lost things that would have not even been affected to the lightning strike surge protector. We had 6 LED lights on our walls that it was that bad that it blew them out in place. But we did lose a router. We did lose a control board in the kiosk and in the gate. And I'm sharing that with you because the board is going back and revisiting the surge protector system. We stopped the contract a year ago. We've been perfectly fine. Dick was instrumental in giving me more data and information of why the system was purchased to start with. And I just want to share with you very quickly of what that is. And the board's getting ready to hear something they hadn't heard from me yet too. It was just in learning, they gave me the challenge to go out and find out why the system mattered. It mattered because we live in sand. Sand is a natural insulator for electrical power. It won't be a conduit. It will not go through it. So what these surge protector systems did was created a chemical base to make that non-conductive. So it pulls the power, drives it into the ground in a specific area versus letting it run all over the place in glass that does not act as a conduit. So it's been an education for me. We do not believe that it had one thing to do with the impact on what we did before, but we are revisiting it. I just think the community needs to know about it. It was a learning experience for me.
okay.
Excuse me, I'm on the
If there are
Zoom.
no questions, we're adjourned. Oh, wait a minute, is there anybody?
Hello?
Is there anybody with a
How many do
question?
we have on Zoom tonight?
Hello?
No?
15.
That's very good.
Thank you,
Hello,
guys.
can you hear
Thank
me?
you, everyone. Appreciate you being here.
15. On
Hello?
Zoom. How about that?
That's the most I think
That's
we've
as many as we
had.
have here. Well, we got 20, 25
Hello,
here.
can you hear me?